The purpose of this video is for you to check your plate boundaries puppet show. So when we look at this map, this is a super important map in our plate tectonics unit because this is a map of the plate boundaries. The dark lines you see are the spots on our planet where plates are interacting. And again, a tectonic plate is a section of lithosphere that's floating on the jelly-like asthenosphere. So at these dark lines, we either have push, pull, or sliding events, and that makes different consequences or results on our planet. So checking your work now and pausing me as you need to fix things. We had Connie and Connor Continental interacting. And again, the Continental tells us it was continental crust. And even though this was like California is on a coastline, the plate boundary is a little bit inland. So anyway, what was the result? It was actually earthquakes there. Now, why did this happen? So here's where you need an explanation. The plates slide by, you must have slide by there, and then because of that, creating fault lines or cracks on the crust, like the San Andreas in California. Anytime we have movement along a fault line, that's a recipe for an earthquake. Okay, so now scene 2. This time you saw two different puppets, Olivia Oceanic and Ozzy Oceanic. So they're both oceanic crust. And a lot of times students struggle to come up with the right terminology here. The result was sea floor spreading. Now, why did this happen? You must have the plates are pulling away. Then remember what got out? Magma escaped. And what do we know about seafloor spreading? That when the magma comes out, it cools into new crust and behaves kind of like a chisel to push the old crust away. Even though the new crust is pushing the old crust away and spreading the continents apart, the plate motion is to pull. So let's look at what we've got on the map now. Scene 1 is right here, California, where those plates are sliding by each other. Scene 2 should have reminded you of Iceland. The plates are going in different directions here, and that's why seafloor spreading happens. Now, checking your work on scene 3, Connie Continental and Connor Continental met back up, but this time their date went better. This time they made mountains. Now, be careful on the why. You must have these two underlined words added if you need to. The crusts are meeting, or you could say pushing together, but because it's both continental crusts, they have the same density, so nothing sinks to turn into magma, and you get mountains. This is like Nepal, which you could have also said Mount Everest. So let's look at our plate boundaries map. Right here, the Indian and Eurasian plate are meeting. Remember, we call that a continental convergent boundary. And by the way, Iceland's divergent and California is transformed. But anyway, this one's a continental convergent. Those plates are pushing together. In our final scene, we see Connie Continental and Ozzy Oceanic on a date to the Kanji Japanese steakhouse. That was a real big hint, right? The result was explosive volcanoes. Now, why was this? Oceanic crust is more dense, so when they meet, it sinks and melts into magma. Okay, so notice the difference. Same density in scene 3 when continental crust hits continental crust, and when continental crust pushes on oceanic crust, the story's different. The oceanic crust is more dense. Remember that sinking and singing, it's getting hot in here, I'm turning into magma, and that is like Mount Fuji, Japan. Okay, so I hope you noticed this. At the bottom, there was a question, an important one. Why not Hawaii? So you might have been like, Mrs. Fickus, we went to 5 places, not 4. Why didn't you do a 5th scene? Well, here's the problem. There could have been no interaction. Hawaii, remember, is not on a plate boundary. It's in the middle of a tectonic plate. So even though you see 4 arrows here, notice they're all going on the same direction, and it's just showing movement of the Pacific plate. So you have this fixed hot spot, this weakness in the lithosphere where magma is just able to get out that has built Hawaii. Again, it can't be in the plate boundaries puppet show because it's not on a plate boundary. Check it out on the map. Boom, right there in the middle of the Pacific plate.